And good afternoon, everybody. Chris Bartell here from the Cascade Pacific Council with today's Wednesday webinar. Today, we're going to be covering Leave No Trace and why it's important, why you do it. We have an awesome master educator of Leave No Trace here to join us, Terry Jackson. She'll join us in just a few minutes. But first, of course, we're going to dive in here to the latest news around the Cascade Pacific Council. So let's go for it here. First of all, we're going to start with our safety moment. And this is just a friendly reminder to get your med forms dialed out because, as we like to say, adventure is here. It's happening. It is now. We're all out there getting scouty and having adventures and preparing for summer camp. So just don't wait. A reminder for one and all, scouts and adults, to check all your medical forms for expiration dates and just schedule those appointments with your doctors to get parts A, B, and C completed. And just as a reminder for you newbies out there, that parts A and B is the physical is not required for the first two parts A and B. There are 3 parts to the whole series of medical forms. You don't need those if you're doing an activity under 72 hours, but it is, or over 72 hours, but it is required for all activities under 72 hours. If you're doing something more longer than 72 hours, then you do need all 3 parts completed, and they are required. There also are some separate forms for any of you doing some of the Boy Scouts of America High Adventure programs this summer as well, and you'll get information on that from them if you're registered for that. So just a friendly reminder to get those medical forms dialed out. You can actually download them at scouting.org/forms. That's the quick URL to jump on in there and get those downloads for you. All right, some upcoming events around the Cascade Pacific Council here. We have some great news. 2023 summer camp reservations are actually now open and available for making reservations for registering for Scouts BSA. So if you want to go to Baldwin or Pioneer or Camp Meriwether in 2023 and you have dates in mind, you can actually start making those reservations now at cpcbsa.org/reservations. That'll take you right to the page with all of the reservations that are open for 2022 and 2023. Just pop down to the bottom of the page. You'll see 2023 available there, and then you'll log into Tenderroot and make those reservations. So chat with your scouts, with your parents, if you're in Scouts BSA, and start registering today for 2023, because certain days and weeks and spots, they go fast. So you're going to want to jump in that as soon as possible. Okay, a couple other events that are happening here, lots of training opportunities. We're going to talk in quite a bit about one that's coming up here about Leave No Trace, of course, but wanted to let you know about this climbing training that is happening actually this weekend and the following weekend and a following weekend on April 22nd, 24th. These are amazing weekends for climbing training where you actually get to be certified to teach all the scouts about climbing. So this is really, really important. It's a great opportunity to also just become aware and understand more about climbing and all that it takes. You'll actually learn safety techniques and climbing techniques and how to care for the gear, all of that. The first weekend, this coming weekend, is at Camp Baldwin. Then the next weekend is at Horse Thief Butte camp. So you're going to want to register for that at cpcbsa.org/calendar. You can find the dates and the registration links for that. Also, skipped ahead here, Outdoor Skills Institute. We'll talk a little bit more about that because that's where you're going to learn about Leave No Trace. But this is an awesome opportunity to actually dive into some training for a whole bunch of things. So it is on May 13th through 15th. They're all adult classes that are about climbing, Dutch oven cooking, shooting sports, Leave No Trace, as I said, wilderness first aid, and also the introduction to outdoor leadership skills. So it's an intro course to learning all of these things. So you can go to cpcbsa.org/OSI and get the information on that. It's actually at Camp Meriwether, again, on May 13th through 15th. There are opportunities available for you to dive into these classes, and you'll see the details there on which classes are available for you at cpcbsa.org/OSI. Also, for you youth out there, National Youth Leadership Training is happening this summer, and it is in July and August. There are multiple courses available. This is for scouts ages 13 years and up. And this is really an awesome opportunity. I hear great things from our youth who take this course. We actually have some videos there at cpcbsa.org/NYLT from some scouts who just talk about, what they got out of it. It is some awesome training for not just scouting, but for school and just learning to be a great leader. So check that out at cpcbsa.org/NYLT. This is at Camp Baldwin, and a variety of courses to choose from there. Also, powder horn training for scouts ages 14 and up and adults. This training is really interesting. It's all about how to create an awesome, incredible outdoor program. This is a hands-on training. You get to do a whole ton of activities. You can actually find the information at cpcbsa.org/calendar for this. There are actually 2 weekends that are that this training takes that this training is being done in August. So there are both weekends there. You do need to actually attend both weekends to actually be trained under powder horn. So check that out at cpcbsa.org/calendar. It's in August again. This is awesome. It's really, again, a hands-on. There's lots of information on it, so I'm not going to dive into it now, but there's just a lot of information about all the hands-on training you get, and just learn about how to create an awesome outdoor program. So check that out. Also, for you Scouts, BSA Scouts, we have an opportunities actually throughout the rest of, almost the rest of the year, actually, for merit badge courses through our Meriting with the Experts program. So this is where we pull in experts from outside of scouting, so to speak, such as Alaska Airlines and Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum. They're actually doing some courses, and in some cases, they are full merit badge courses that you can do to accomplish things like American labor, engineering, aviation, and sustainability merit badges. Lots of opportunities there. So go to cpcbsa.org/calendar. Just do a search for meriting, and you'll see all of the opportunities there to take these courses. Here are a couple other reminders that we want you to save the date, because next Thursday is our CPC Summit and Roundtable breakout sessions. Some are live, some are in person, but our CPC Summit, the sort of intro and a little news update from around the Cascade Pacific Council from our amazing volunteers, is next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. You'll see links to this in your email, so check your email for that. Again, some of the districts are doing roundtables in person, some are doing them virtually or via Zoom, so you'll get all the information on that later on this week, and some reminders next week, of course, too. Okay, also mark your calendar, save the date for Wood Badge. This is in September. There are 2 weekends for this awesome training. We have a brand new patch/logo here. You can check that out. That's pretty neat. And so there are 2 weekends for this at Camp Clark and at Butte Creek. And this is an awesome training program for adults to actually learn how to just become an awesome leader in Scouts and beyond. So check that out at cpcbsa.org/woodbadge. Also save the dates for World Jamboree and National Jamboree. These are in 2023. Go to cpcbsa.org/jamboree for National Jamboree, and for World Jamboree, where you get to meet Scouts from all over the world, you go to wsj2023.us. These are incredible opportunities. And the reason we bring it up so early is oftentimes you got to do some fundraising and things like that to go to these, but they are epic adventures. That again is National Jamboree and World Jamboree in 2023. So check that out on our website and at wsj2023.us. Okay, in other news, quick round about here for some other news updates. First of all, just wanted to say, wow, way to scout, everybody. There are nearly 1,400 Cub Scouts and nearly 4,400 older Scouts registered for summer camp. So that is awesome. We are getting back at it for realsies, and it's going to be epic. We are going to have a blast. And so there are still some spots available. We actually are getting pretty booked up for Cub Scouts, but we actually added another weekend. So you'll want to check that out. And also for older Scouts, a lot of those weekends are getting booked up. So there are some opportunities, but you're going to want to check it out. If you have not registered yet, you need to get in on this at cpcbsa.org/reservations. That'll take you again to the reservations for Cub Scout camps and for the older Scouts, as well as the 2023 reservations I mentioned before. But isn't that awesome? There's so many Scouts registered. Really great. And also more than 1,000 youth have actually joined scouting here in the Cascade Pacific Council recently. So that is fantastic. We always want to remind you to send your friends to cpcbsa.org/grit, where they can get a free adventure kit. They can actually check out scouting. They get a scout book based on their age and a little fun activity adventure kit. And it's really fun. So if you have a friend out there, or you parents, of a kiddo who would like to be in Scouts, or who should just dive into Scouts with us, go to cpcbsa.org/grit, and they can sign up for a free adventure kit there. A couple other quick things. Speaking of summer camp, we still have opportunities for camp staff. So this is awesome. There are opportunities for every kind of scout or adult out there, no matter what you're kind of interested in, whether you're a rah person, or you just like to cook, or you like to clean, or you like to just help out. There are tons of opportunities. Go to cpcbsa.org/camp staff to find out more about those opportunities. We actually have some openings that are really important because we want to make sure that all of the programs like climbing walls and swimming and all that great stuff is actually going to be open. So that's why it's important to have people who staff it. So you can actually dive in on that at cpcbsa.org/camp staff. Again, you can really have any interest, and there is something for everybody. For youth, you can be 15 and up, and you can actually be a staff in training, and you can actually be real camp staff at age 16 and up. And there are just tons of opportunities, no matter your age or whether you're working full-time or you're part-time or any of that. If you want to dive in and help out, even if it's just for a couple of weeks, you can do that this summer at cpcbsa.org/camp staff. Also, just want to let you know that weekend horse rides are still available. We have half-day rides and full-day rides at Butte Creek Scout Ranch. Super fun opportunity for families and scout units and youth just to get together and go on a ride. We have opportunities, and by gosh, the horses need to be ridden, so they are missing you. They would love to have you come out and visit them and take a ride. And our wranglers are always ready, super excited to just share with you all about just teaching you everything about horses and taking care of them. It's really, really great. You can go to cpcbsa.org/horses for that. Also, just a couple of how you can support all these awesome adventures that we do, all this great stuff we do in scouting here in the Cascade Pacific Council. Here are some really, really great things. First of all, Camp for All. Of course, many of you know, most of you should know about this. Camp for All is our campaign to really get every single scout to camp and give them an incredible first-class, world-class experience. That's where all of the Camp for All fundraising goes. It's all about scholarships and all the awesome stuff that happens at camp. And what's super, super great is right now we have a matching gift opportunity. So if you donate today, your donation will actually be doubled up to $50,000. I mean, if you want to give us $50,000, that'd be great. Well, what could you do with that? Oh my gosh, can you imagine? But there's a matching gift. So even if it's just $5 a month, you can actually have that matched, and it's awesome. Really, it would be great to have every single scout represented in the CPC by a gift of really any amount. I know you hear that from other places all the time, a gift of any amount, but really it's true. So any amount, a monthly donation is awesome. Even $5, $10 a month, whatever you can do would be awesome. And your gift is actually matched right now, which is super, super great. Okay, another way to support scouting here in the Cascade Pacific Council is if you're into shotguns and you're into golf, then by golly, you should join us for the Kerr Contractors Sporting Clay Shootout, because that merges both. You get a team together, you do golf with guns. It's really great. We actually do have some spots available for teams. So check it out at cpcbsa.org/shootout. Tons of information there. We have opportunities actually, if you want to just become a sponsor or throw something into the auction, that's super, super great to support us too. It's a lot of fun. So check it out at cpcbsa.org/shootout. Also, speaking of support, we still have a couple of bunkhouses left where you can have your family's name on it, your name on it, a friend's name, a loved one, whatever you want. If you want to sponsor a Camp Meriwether staff bunkhouse, these are beautiful. We're actually using them for a whole bunch of things besides just camp staff. And so it's really, really a great way to support Camp Meriwether and be a part of Camp Meriwether history. You can contact Mike Egan on that. It's his email address is michael.egan, that's EGAN, @scouting.org, and he'll tell you all about it. And you can put your family's name on a bunkhouse, whatever you like. It's just a great opportunity to do that and to support scouting here in the Cascade Pacific Council there. Okay, whew. Wow, that was like 15 minutes of news. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on. It's fantastic. I love it. Well, but this is the real reason why you came here today, is to learn all about Leave No Trace. I love this topic. And what's funny is being a scout who's been around for a while as a scout, and learning a lot of these things in scouting. What's been really fun is talking to our expert today, Terry Jackson. She is here. She is a master educator in Leave No Trace. She's also an assistant scoutmaster of Troop 150 and in West Salem. And what's been fun is she and I have been chatting before all of this, of course, and I have been learning so much. Like every single time we chat, it's amazing the things that maybe I learned as a kid, as a scouter, maybe not the most correct thing. And so anyway, this is going to be really a great conversation here. I'm going to have Terry go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm going to jump in here and grab your presentation and pull it up here on the screen. But go ahead, if you would just tell us a little bit about yourself and actually, like, how'd you even get involved with this?
Sure. Well, thanks, Chris. So as you said, I was lucky enough to get my Master Educator certification just this last September, but my love for this topic dates back long before that. So I've been involved in scouting since my youngest was a Tiger Scout. Lions did not exist at that time. He actually earned his Eagle a year ago, just aged out as of last week. And so now I find myself with perhaps a little bit more time. And this is a good way to combine my love of outdoors and of educating. I find myself outdoors every day, rain or shine. It's part of what I need to center myself. And Leave No Trace basically helps us figure out a way that we can all enjoy the outdoors responsibly so that what we like to enjoy is around for decades and for generations to come. So I don't see myself leaving scouting anytime soon. And to me, this is a worthwhile pursuit. So Leave No Trace is kind of a big topic, and I was having a technical difficulty, so Chris is going to be operating my slides for me today. But I have a few slides and a lot of discussion about exactly what Leave No Trace is. So, Leave No Trace in scouting, Leave No Trace in general life. It's all kind of one and the same. As scouts, like it or not, realize it or not, we already are kind of talking about these regularly. Next slide will show us how, namely, after we do our scout oath and our scout law at our meetings, most of us, at least in my troop, we go right into the outdoor code. And this is Leave No Trace in disguise, basically. So we take a vow that as an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners, to be careful with fire, to be considerate in the outdoors, and be conservation minded. And all those C words, the clean, the careful, the considerate, and the conservation, these are Leave No Trace principles embodied in what we embrace as scouts. And I think now the key is that Leave No Trace principles can kind of help us put this ethic into practice. Because what ethics are is basically a set of moral principles that govern our behavior, right? And so we just need to be shown how we can do a good job of putting those into practice, especially in this case as they pertain to the outdoors. So let's go to that next Leave No Trace slide. And basically what Leave No Trace is it is a set of 7 principles and best practices, low impact practices that have been researched and created and taught and promoted by the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. And I won't go into the history for how they formed. This all started in the mid 1900s when land use agencies basically started realizing that the best practice to get people to not use the outdoors irresponsibly was education. Education is better than litigation, and they could write all the rules they wanted and all of and cite people, but it's not nearly as effective as educating them how they can do better. So these principles are intended to ensure that our enjoyment of the outdoors is not reduced by our own impact. And it's important to know why we should all, so not just scouts and scouters, but all outdoor users, we need to know why we need to embrace these Leave No Trace principles. So let's go through them. First of all, number 1 is plan ahead and prepare. That's an all-encompassing one, by the way. It has to do with all the other 6 that follow it, okay? Travel and camp on durable surfaces. Oftentimes, there is not a right or wrong choice. There is a decision to be made about what is the best choice given the situation that you find yourself in. And you're going to find that, if you delve into leave no trace principles, it's not about doing right or wrong. It's about doing the best given the situation and circumstances you find yourself in. Number 3, dispose of waste properly. This is not just solid or liquid human waste. This is also the Scoutmaster's coffee with the grounds in it that it needs to be discarded. This is the toothpaste that's spit out. This is that dishwater with the macaroni in it. Do we know properly how to dispose of this? Because it's going to happen on our campouts. Number 4, leave what you find. Number 5, minimize campfire impacts. A good scout loves good campfire, but we need to know how we can create that fire and get the wood for it, more importantly, responsibly. And then the last 2 are about that consideration that we talk about in the outdoor code. How can we be considered to respect wildlife? But then also, how can we respect other visitors? So the next slide here is going to show us why we can't afford to ignore any one of these principles. And that is that we as Americans are doing a decent job of loving our public lands to death. So here's some quick statistics for fun. When wilderness recreation visitor days were measured, in 1975, it was 7 million. Look at what happened by 2000. They nearly tripled. When national parks do a really good job of counting their visitors going in and out of the parks, in 1950, 33 million. That evolved in 2016 to about 325 million. In 2020, so remember what was happening in 2020, we were at the height of the lockdown, and still 237 million visitors that year. And Yellowstone alone in 2021 accounted for over 3.25 million. So it's simple math here that if we have increasing number of visitation days to our wild areas, we're going to have increasing impact. And of course, this campsite is like a dumpster fire of campsites, right? So they didn't dig a proper fire. They didn't create a proper fire pit. They burned the ground. The vegetation under that is not going to come back for years because of the scorching that's gone on. Chances are, do you see any rocks there? They probably created this campsite. And we hopefully as scouters know that the best campsites are found and not created, because when we create them, we worsen impact. They've left their trash. It's just all the soil compaction that's happened around it. I mean, there's going to be damage that's going to be really, really hard to reverse here. So had this camper been shown the proper way to do things, there would be less impact. So let's on the next slide kind of go and we'll break down some of the impacts really quickly so that we kind of start to get an idea of why these principles are important and are necessarily far reaching. Impact can happen to soil. So like that last campsite showed, all of the foot traffic there has compacted that soil down. How much vegetation did you see there? None. It's because anything that tries to come up there can't, because it's going to be trampled. Also, the camp or trails. How many times have we as scouts or scouters been going down a muddy trail? It's gross. We don't want to get our boots messy. So we tend to scooch along the sides of those trails. Well, that widens the trail. It worsens the soil impaction on either side, and that's not good. What about erosion on stream banks? If we have stock that are entering waterways incorrectly, what do we do about campsites that are kind of creeping closer and closer to a riverbed, because that's kind of a fun place to put our tent, but could lead to some erosion. There's vegetation impacts, the stomping that I talked about before, the forging of unintentional trails that I talked about before, but also look at this tree in this picture. It's what I affectionately call tree feety. Somebody had to leave their mark there. They didn't leave what they found, and they had to leave their mark. That's indelible. That's going to be there. And if it was deep enough in the tree, it actually can mess with that tree's ability to conduct water and nutrients from the ground up to the leaves, or leaves down to the ground in the aspect of nutrients. Inappropriate harvesting of firewood impacts vegetation. Wildlife impacts. Okay, this chipmunk probably doesn't need to have a granola bar. That's not his proper form of nutrition. Our feeding of wildlife can be inadvertent with crumbs that we drop at camp, or it can be blatant, like in this case here. And we can all talk all day about imprinting and why this isn't a good thing, but definitely not. We impact the water when we go outside. Where are we putting our soapy water? Where are we taking a bath with all that sunscreen and bug spray that we have on? Did we go 200 feet away from a water source to use the latrine? There are cultural resource impacts, and these oftentimes are just blatantly illegal. This would be like theft of artifact, but it could also be just disrespectful behavior in culturally sensitive areas. So think of a burial site. And then there are social impacts. So those would be like conflicts between users or user groups. So as Scouters, are we doing a good job of educating our Scouts about what quiet hours are? Even if there aren't posted quiet hours, are we being respectful of other visitors that could be in that campground? Okay, so all of these things are incorporated into what learning leave no trace principles are all about. So we can learn to do better. And it's really only when we understand the impact that we have, when we enjoy the outdoors, that we can really embrace what we need to do to minimize it. We've got to do better as Scouts and Scouters than just decreasing our litter and putting out campfires. That's all right, but it's not nearly enough. And really, again, the key here is education, and it starts with youth. And that's what we're in the business of doing, isn't it? Is educating youth and spending our time outside. So we need to do better. And I think learning about leave no trace is really one of the ways that we can do that. You know, we talked yesterday, Chris and I, about some of these things. It's like, you know, how many of us really toss that orange peel on the ground and say, it's fine, it's organic, it'll degrade? Well, do you know how long it takes for it to degrade? Does a chipmunk need to be picking that up and chewing on it? That little orange peel, if it's here on the west side of the Cascades, could take a couple years to degrade. I was on the Deschutes hiking over spring break, and I saw an orange peel out there that's probably been out there a lot longer because it's arid there. What about that toilet paper that you are burying? Should you be burying it in the area that you're using the latrine? Do we know how to select a proper campsite? Again, there's not a right or wrong, but if you find yourself in a situation, you need to know how to select the best or most appropriate choice. Okay, so, and we Scouts, we can go on to the next slide. You know, we Scouts kind of understand that maybe lessening environmental impact is critical to the longevity of our resources. But the other reason that we have to be concerned about is also the public opinion of our program. Now, I know that this stuff doesn't pertain to any of our Scouts, packs, troops, crews, whatever, but amongst land use managers, we haven't always had the best reputation. We have been known as rowdy, that our group sizes are too big. Our camping skills are out of date. We make big campfires, we leave a mess. We play inappropriately that could be leading to damage. We may not keep appointments for service work, and we could be monopolizing popular campsites. So these are a few reasons why our opinion or our impressions haven't been favorable amongst land use managers. We can do better. And in fact, as the next slide will kind of demonstrate, Scouts BSA has started to do a lot better. I don't know if you realize it or not, but Leave No Trace is actually really ingrained into our scouting curriculum by design. In 2021, this last fall, in fact, Scouts BSA formed one consolidated subcommittee on outdoor ethics and conservation. And their job is to kind of make sure that these principles are woven into the curriculum at all age levels in scouting. And then also, incidentally, Scouts BSA is a sanctioned provider of Leave No Trace curriculum. Not everybody can pick up and train Leave No Trace trainers or master educators. They have to be approved by that national or the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. There are several entities that have applied and do provide that curriculum, and Scouts BSA is one of them. So that's actually the reason that I am here, in fact. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Where exactly then is Leave No Trace in scouting? It is just about everywhere. And we'll talk about that here in the slides that follow. It's at all age levels, in all the groups, all the ranks. There's awards and bling involved. And Scouters also can obtain some Leave No Trace education through their involvement in scouting as well. So let's start with the Cubs next. It is everywhere, starting with the little lions and going all the way through the bears. In various forms, how one should act responsibly in the outdoors is discussed at several points along this Cub Scout path. They may start with just repeating after a den leader the leave no trace principles for kids. They start doing some things outside where these principles can start to work their way into the curriculum. So it's all over. And if we go to the next slide, with those Webelos and Arab Light Scouts, we start to talk more intensively about outdoor ethics. Those Webelos actually need to recite the outdoor code and leave no trace principles for kids in order to complete their walkabout adventure. The Arab Light Scouts focus even more intensively as they may camp with a troop. And to earn that last rank in Cub Scouting, they not only have to recite the outdoor code, but they now at that point have to be able to explain the meaning of it in their own words. So it's kind of working, hopefully, its way into the fabric that is their code of outdoor ethics. Okay, and in Cub Scouting in general, if you take a step back and look at what's expected of them in their curriculum in general, these younger scouts go from listening to then doing some repeat after me reciting to discussing to demonstrating, and then finally explaining. And this goes for their outdoor curriculum as well. So they are becoming more independent and hopefully more knowledgeable about some of these outdoor skills. So there are awards to be earned. There is an outdoor activity award, and there's different requirements to earn this for every rank that I won't go into here, but basically the requirements for the awards are based upon adventures that include leave no trace and the principles that are involved there, and lots of outdoor activities, and there's lots of different options of what you can pursue. So let's go to the next slide and see that as these cubs age up into the scouting program, I'm not going to detail all the rank requirements, but the rank requirements for scouts very much involve outdoor ethics, outdoor code, leave no trace. So they not only have to explain the outdoor code, but they also have to demonstrate many of the low impact techniques that are used or should be used in the outdoors. They have to learn how to dispose of that dishwater properly. They have to prepare adequately for hikes, which may include eliminating or lessening waste by repackaging their food. They have to learn how to select proper campsites. And some of the service hours that are required of some of these ranks are to be conservation related. Scouts could even select a conservation related project for their Eagle project. My oldest son did, in fact, which kind of fueled some of my fire to learn more about outdoor ethics as well. And in the lower right-hand corner of this slide, there's a patch, and that is the Outdoor Ethics Guide patch. That we'll be talking about here in just a little bit, but that is actually a position that can be used towards their leadership requirement for some of the outdoor ranks. So we'll come back to that in just a little bit. Merit badges. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of merit badges in scouting that directly or indirectly discuss lower impact practices and ethical outdoor behavior. Even the cooking merit badge, even though it doesn't specifically mention the outdoor code or leave no trace specifically, they do talk about low impact. So there's any one of a number of merit badges that your scout can earn if they have interest in it. And even if they don't have specific interest in the leave no trace area, they'll be talking about it in these merit badges. Okay, next, if a scout really wants to delve deeper and more specifically into leave no trace principles, or if you do as a collective troop, you can earn the Outdoor Ethics Awards, the first of which is on this slide, and that's the Awareness Award. The requirements are listed here, and you can find them online as well. The troop's Outdoor Ethics Advocate, which I mentioned last slide, I'll mention again here shortly, or someone like a leave no trace trainer, or someone like me who's a master educator can provide the workshop for the kids. There's some online work that they do in terms of watching a video and doing a couple online courses as well. And there's a patch involved, which is very important. If they want to go one step deeper, they could earn the next award, which is the Outdoor Ethics Action Award. After earning the Awareness Award, if they complete these additional requirements that are listed here, again, you can find them online, they can actually earn their very own printed name tag, which is huge. They have to do the work for it, but if you have a scout in your troop and this is kind of their passion, this is an awesome award for them to really get more deeply into outdoor ethics and conservation. So there's lots of awards in BSA that address leave no trace principles also, whether we thought about it or not. That firemanship, that totemship, they are teaching kids how to build responsible fires and how to get the wood for that responsibly. There's the National Outdoor Award. As a unit, you could earn the National Outdoor Challenge Award. Requirements for all of these are either in the Scout book or online. But yeah, there's a lot. Again, this just shows how leave no trace is really woven its way into our scouting curriculum. So the next slide details the BSA Distinguished Conservation Service Award. So again, for that scout that has really intense interest in doing things for the good of the outdoors, this award was formerly known as the Hornaday Award. But requirements for it are online. I won't belabor them here, but essentially it requires like Eagle caliber conservation-based project or projects and earning multiple badges that have outdoor conservation emphasis. If you have a scout, though, that is interested in doing this, before you do a lot of work in project planning, please, please, please at least get a hold of our council outdoor ethics advocate, Mr. Crossman, because these projects have to be pre-approved by a very specific advisor that is nationally sanctioned. So don't do the work for a project thinking that it's going to qualify, because it may not. And if this award is really important to your scout, then do your homework ahead of time. Outdoor ethics guide. This individual is a scout who can help plan and conduct the outdoor programs that their troop does, and they emphasize the leave no trace principles. They can help scouts improve their outdoor ethics decision-making skills, to minimize impacts as they go out on their troops' outdoor activities. They support the scouts who are younger, who are working on the relevant requirements for their ranks. So tenderfoot second class and first class ranks also have, or all have requirements that this guide can help with. And again, this qualifies as a leadership position for upper ranks. And so just like ASM, or SPL or ASPL does, or patrol leader, okay? There is no technical training that is required for this, but it would be lovely for them to go, say, to a Leave No Trace trainer class. We had 4 of them actually at our Leave No Trace training course this last weekend, because they're going to get really valuable knowledge about these principles that they can then take home to their troop. And this was huge. It was lovely to hear them talk about the things that they're already noticing that their troop did. They had no idea. And it wasn't that they made were doing things negligently on purpose. They just were ignorant about how they could be doing things better. And they were all talking about things that they're going to go home and take to their troop and do differently. And that's the point of this, is just teaching. In the interest of time, I'll, without slides, talk about the next one here, which is venturing. So crew members and even ships, I believe, can also earn some of these Leave No Trace related awards. Requirements for all of these can be found online. A lot of the requirements are actually the same, just tweaked a little bit as they stand for the Scouts BSA. I should mention, by the way, it used to be that Cub Scouts could actually earn that Outdoor Awareness Award, and they did away with that. That does not mean that Cub Scouts can't still do some of the awareness education, but they just can't get the patch for it anymore. Crews, though, can earn the National Outdoor Award. They can earn the Wilderness Pledge Achievement Award, that National Medal for Outdoor Achievement. They can all earn some of the same awards. Again, their requirements, because their activities are a little different than for Scout troops. Just make yourself aware of those online if you are with a crew or a ship. All right, so can't forget our Scouters. Scouters can also pursue some Leave No Trace training. Actually, they can also earn that Outdoor Ethics Awareness Award. They can also earn that cool name tag by pursuing the Action Award, but they can also become certified to be a Leave No Trace trainer. That is happening for adults at the Outdoor Skills Institute that's upcoming here in May. This Leave No Trace trainer course is a 2-day 16-hour course that's taught by master educator. A master educator has to run it, but other Leave No Trace trainers can help. Once you have this certification, you can lead your own Leave No Trace awareness workshops, which are 30-minute to 1 day, depending on the age level, just intro workshops that are designed for even the general public if you want, but could happen at a Cub Scout pack. They can also do Leave No Trace 101 workshops, which we often have at our Scouting University, by the way. That's a 3 to 4 hour class that's designed to help youth and adults of all program levels to really understand the general principles that Leave No Trace talks about and how, more importantly, to apply them in our BSA program. And if you really love Leave No Trace so much that you want to train the trainers, you can pursue Master Educator certification. And this is a 5-day field-oriented class taught by a Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics approved Master Educator trainer. So there's very few of them in the United States, but there are some. And once you have that, by the way, it's a super fun course. Usually they're done at some type of one of our high adventure bases. So I got to go to Philmont, which I was very privileged to get to do. Hiked at 8,000 feet. It was super fun. And then once you have this certification, you can lead all of the above things I talked about. Plus, you can do the Leave No Trace trainer courses. So you can train those Leave No Trace trainers, including scouts. Scouts, by the way, can do the Leave No Trace trainer classes as long as they're over 14. Unfortunately, there won't be any scouts at our next offering in May, but there will be another course coming up in October. I believe that the date has yet to be determined, but we usually try to do 2 courses a year, one in October and then one sometime in the spring. So there's lots of opportunities here. And I wanted to leave you with a few resources. That QR code will take you to the BSA Outdoor Ethics Subcommittee website. There's lots of materials there, links to videos, some things that you can download and print to use for your instruction in your scout groups at home, as well as some national going on. That's usually a good clearinghouse to find out where the trainer and the master educator courses are occurring throughout the United States. And then the bottom there is the address, the website address for the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. Also is a really good place, even if you're not a Leave No Trace Incorporated member. You can go on their website, get some good news tips. There's some videos. There's also some lessons that you can take home to your scout units of all age appropriateness as training materials as well. So yeah, that's the conclusion of the slides, but it's kind of a quick look at Leave No Trace and scouting, hopefully enough of a teaser to pique your interest in the topic area, because it really is something that we do good things in scouting, but I always think there's room for improvement. And there's lots of things, I guess they say you don't know what you don't know. This kind of helps you know some of the things you might not know and do better.
Right. As you were explaining to me, the things that I thought I knew, but apparently I did not. The things that have changed, because you'd mentioned too that things do evolve and change over time. These things aren't necessarily as set in stone as we like to think, but they have evolved over time because Leave No Trace has actually been around for quite a while.
Yep. And they will continue to evolve. So that's one of the cool things about the evolution of Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. They are actively involved in research. And it's not, they've done the research in terms of how long it takes compacted soil to come back. They've done the research about how long it takes certain items to degrade in the environment. They do social and behavioral research amongst land users to find out what kind of messaging works the best. In fact, that 7th Leave No Trace principle didn't used to be on there, but then they realized, part of part of this treatment of the outdoors is also not being a nuisance to other users, right? It's about treating one another like we want to be treated. So they're actively doing research. They also take reports of potential hotspots. So people can report to the Center for Leave No Trace or Center for Outdoor Ethics can report like in their area if they see an area of concern that's being overused or outdoor abuse or whatever. And the center may choose to consider that one of their national hotspots that they focus attention on. So it is very much not a static thing. It is principles and ethics are evolving over time, and what we thought was okay years ago, or they're learning how we can do better, because most of those violations, I tend to assume that people are basically good at heart, and so most of the things that we do wrong are not okay, save for carving out hieroglyph or petroglyphs and taking those home. That's just bad. That's we should know that that's bad. But a lot of the discarding of certain kinds of waste, or building your tent too close, or using the latrine too close to a waterway, or putting it right in the middle of a meadow where there's ground nesting birds during mating season. All of those things are just, we don't know. We don't know. And so this is bringing awareness to our youth, and to specifically a group of youth that's probably inclined to spend a lot of time outdoors, so that they can take these lessons home to their parents or share with other people at the campsite or whatever. So I think good information begets better behavior.
Yeah, it's a super good point. And you mentioned also that it's training these kids so that then they get older, they train other kids, but also as we all become adults, right, we remember these things and learn these things, even though they may evolve and change, but we can really make a difference. I mean, everybody who knows, who even just does the litter sweep. And like I was mentioning to Terry that we had a scout who was brand new, had never done that before. And so it's all these little pieces are good seeds that we're planting in their brains and in our brains too, about things that we can do to make less impact and leave no trace, which is super, super awesome. And as you had mentioned, we have the training is coming up here on May 13th through 15th. It's actually at the Outdoor Skills Institute, which we talked about earlier in the news segment, of course, too. And you'd mentioned this one's for adults only, because
Right.
adults are coming to what we call OSI, the Oregon or the Outdoor Skills Institute. And but it is one of the main topics. So it's a really awesome opportunity to take a deep dive and learn about this. And this is a full 2 days, is that right?
Yeah, so it's a requirement that the course is 16 hours. And so we pretty much go all day on Saturday from breakfast until dinner. And then it's part of a day on Sunday. We, as a part of the training, will actually cook a meal outdoors as a group. The rest of the time we'll be eating with the other Meriwether participants from the OSI. But at the end of the course, you will get your certification. You can be a Leave No Trace trainer, which, you don't have to ever teach a Leave No Trace 101 awareness class. But if you are just an adult who is interested in going to find out what you can do better with your troop, it's totally appropriate to do that. So you don't have to pursue the training just because you want to go train other people formally. You can do this just so that you learn some best practices for your troop. I'll give you another really cool example. So one of the scouts that was there realized that their troop for years, and nobody ever questioned it because that's just what they did, were disposing of their wastewater, not the sewage, but just their wastewater, gray water, in a sump. So that means that they've dug a hole and they put like a perforated coffee can, a large coffee can, down into the hole, and they pour their dishwater and that macaroni water and the toothpaste that you're spitting out down into this. And then at the end of the weekend, they take the coffee can out, which is cool that they have all the particles in there that they then throw away. But the problem is all of that water, all the soap that they were using, is concentrated into one area. They had no idea that no longer is an appropriate way to deal with wastewater. We need to be doing better and casting it out after we've strained the solids out. So now, the cool part is he can take that home and he can teach the adults in his troop how to do better, so that now their troop practices are going to change. So yeah, there's lots of good information to be had, even if you never teach another course.
Well, that's great. Yeah, it's funny, these little things that we thought we knew,
Yeah.
but have evolved, and have evolved because, like you said, the LNT for the Leave No Trace folks have really done the research and really tried to figure out, well, what's going to impact the animals or the environment around the area, the soil, and which is really awesome. It's not just somebody sort of making this up, trying to be a good earth muffin. It's really
No,
that they've
absolutely
actually
not.
done the studies, and to figure out what's really our best practices. And the fact that we can do that as scouts, and I mean, so many of us are, thousands and thousands of us are out there running around in the woods all year long. So if we can be great examples, what a fun opportunity. You also had mentioned that you're happy to pop on by a Packer troop meeting as well, right?
I am. Yeah, I am passionate about seeing other people get passionate about this. And so if you think that your pack or your troop wants to do a little something, so I can plan a fun pack activity for a meeting night, for a den or an entire pack. If your troop maybe wants to collectively earn that outdoor ethics awareness award, and you need to have a presentation come in to do that, I can do that. If you just have questions about an outdoor ethics guide position, or yeah, anything, I would love to be a resource, and my email is there. So yeah, contact me. And there are other we're really fortunate in our council. We actually have several master educators around. I'm not the only one. And our council, in fact, has an outdoor ethics advocate. And he's actually the one that led the course this last weekend. And I got to train alongside of him. Yeah, we're really fortunate that we have a lot of educators here. But yeah, I would love to be a point person for you if you have questions or would like to get someone in.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for offering yourself up for that. And
Sure.
and so for those of you who can't go to the Leave No Trace training at the Outdoor Skills Institute in May 13th through 15th, you can, just give Terry a holler. And also just note also in the back, he reminds that there will be an opportunity in October, as she mentioned as well. But what a great opportunity right now, as we're all heading more out into the woods and getting ready for summer camp and high adventure trips and all of that to get educated. So really a great opportunity. So thank you so much, Terry, for being a part of this today and just giving us a teaser and understanding. And what I love is that you also talked about how so many of these pieces are weaved into the entirety of the program, not just the outdoor code, of course, but also literally every single step of the Scout program. There is a piece of outdoor ethics involved. There's a piece of Leave No Trace involved. And so I love that you shared with us that with us, because it's super important to know that, oh, hey, we can actually accomplish some advancement for those of us who are interested in that as well. And so that's super, super helpful. So thank you so much for that. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, gang, for joining us today. If anybody has any questions, feel free to toss them into the chat or into Facebook. I haven't seen any rolling in, and which is great, because it means that you answered many a question, which is awesome. And again, folks, you can just join Terry at the Outdoor Skills Institute on May 13th or 15th, and you can sign up for that at cpcbsa.org/calendar. Just do a little search for OSI, or Outdoor Skills Institute, and the link will be there, or you can go to cpcbsa.org/OSI, and that'll direct you right to the right page to sign up for the Outdoor Skills Institute. And you can do that there. So thank you all so much for joining us. This, of course, as with all of our webinars, are available on the website, and so you can get all the latest news updates. But of course, all of this will be available in perpetuity, so you can check this out at any time and get an understanding. Or if you have parents who are interested in Leave No Trace or curious about it, what a great opportunity to show them in a half hour. Just send them to this page, the page on the website that you'll see from your Compass Points email tomorrow. You'll have a link for that, or you'll be able to search on the website for Leave No Trace, and it'll pop up, and you can share this with them, and they'll understand, oh, that's what this is all about. So what a great opportunity. Thanks again, Terry, for joining us today. Thank you all for joining us on Facebook and here on the webinar. Really appreciate it. And we will see you next week at next week's webinar as well. Lots of new topics coming down the pipe. So keep an eye out for that in your email, in your Compass Points email newsletter that comes out on Thursdays, and we'll have more information on that. Thanks again, Terry. Have yourself an awesome rest of your week. And gang, you too. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.